Hello students, welcome to the Pole Science of class 10, and today we will go with the same chapter, that is chapter number 2, Federalism, and we will proceed with the revision part. Whatever the revision part we have done previously started from the definition of federal form of government or federalism. After that we learned about two levels of government, then unitary government, then we learned about features of federalism, then proceeding to objectives of federalism, then what are the true crucial aspects of an ideal federalism. Then after that we have learned about coming together and holding together federations. Then we have also learned about what are the features that has actually made India a federal country. Then we have read about the list, which are 4 in number, starting from union list, state list and concurrent list, and fourth followed by residuary powers. So today we will start from this point, that is, how does India practice power sharing? So let us proceed then. So number 1, by creating linguistic states which has made administration easier, new states have been created since 1947. So what is the first and foremost thing that India has done regarding its power sharing? That it has created linguistic states, means state based on languages. Maybe that of Kolkata, where Bengali language is actually there. After that, if we take the state of Assam, that state was created on the linguistic basis, where the Assamese people or the Assamese language is there. So likewise, they have created what? Linguistic states. Since 1947 they have tried creating linguistic states, which has made power sharing more applicable and practicable. After that, no language has been given the status of national language by the constitution. And one more important feature regarding the language is that according to constitution there is no national language. You cannot say that Bengali, Hindi, English or Assamese, any of the languages, or you cannot say that 22 languages that are in the 8th schedule. So out of the 22 language, none of the languages are regarded as the national language. So there are no national language according to the constitution. After that, restructuring of power sharing between center and state. And the third feature is that power is shared between the center and state. If you remember, all these topics we have discussed earlier also. This is just the revision part. So wherever applicable, I will make you elaborate about that particular point. After that, rise of regional political parties and coalition government has led to a new culture of power sharing. So apart from that, what happened when the power was shared between center and state? After you can say that after 1980s, there was a rise of regional political parties. Suppose if in Assam, party related to regional political party is the AGP, Assam Gana Parishad. After that, if we take example of Tamil Nadu, there is AIA DMK. Likewise, many regional political parties were born, and along with that, coalition government also led to a new culture of power sharing. That means what? Every political party at earlier times won elections by their own. Suppose for Congress they won elections by their own. Whatever the seats were required, like 272 seats are required. So the Congress party before 1970, just assume that before 1970 they were easily capable of winning that 272 seats. But nowadays any single party are not that much capable of winning that majority of seats. So they does what? They make a coalition. So under BJP, suppose there is NDA led by BJP. So BJP is the leader of that coalition, National Democratic Alliance. Under that, BJP is the head, and after BJP many smaller parties are there. So they overall make what? Coalitions. After that, whatever the 272 seats are required after the elections is held, so they calculate that, and if they match that magic figure of 272, they are able to form a coalition. Clear? Suppose assume that BJP has only won 250 seats and they are short of 22 seats. So they will do what? They will gather the 22 seats from the smaller party that are in the coalition of BJP or NDA. Clear? So this number 3 point is indicating about that only, that many regional political parties also came into being, and along with that coalition government also led to a new culture of power sharing. After that, threefold distribution of legislative powers. Threefold starts from union government, then state government, and the local level government, if you remember. After that, the next point that we studied previously was about linguistic state. As we know that state created based on languages. So many new states have been formed, boundaries have been changed, people of common language have been brought together. States created on the basis of culture, ethnicity and geography has made the country united and administration made easy. So the states that have been formed on the basis of linguistic or language was created on the basis of other things also, such as culture, that state having its own culture, its own ethnicity and its own geographical location has actually created the states that are formed on the basis of language or linguistic dimension. So it has made what? It has made the country united also, and to run that state also the administration has made easy for that purpose. So if we talk about linguistic states, we can take the example of Nagaland, Uttarakhand and Jharkhand. Clear? After that, no language has been given the status of national language. We know that central government can't impose Hindi on non-Hindi speaking states. One criteria was there that in the state of Tamil Nadu or in the state where people are not that much comfortable or don't know to speak Hindi, so the union government or the central government cannot impose that the language Hindi on them. Suppose take the example of southern states or South India, where Hindi cannot be imposed as the major language or the main language in those states. So 22 languages have been recognized as scheduled languages. We know this already, that according to 8th schedule, 22 languages have been recognized. After that, center agrees to use English along with Hindi. By this, flexibility is shown. So wherever required, the central government does what? Along with Hindi, they can use English also, so that if a person knows English from different states, they can actually communicate in English. If suppose think that the people living in Assam knows English and don't know Hindi, and in the same way, if you suppose you assume that people living in Manipur, an individual living in Manipur knows English but don't know Hindi, so in this case what will happen? These two individuals can communicate easily in English language. So the central government or the center also does what? They have agreed to use English along with Hindi. So in this way, what is being shown? The flexibility is shown. The system is actually said to be flexible in every order. After that, center-state relations. Central government cannot undermine the powers of states or dismiss them. That means the central government cannot undermine the powers of state or dismiss them. That means what? They are both independent. Both the state government and central government are both independent, and the central government cannot force the state government or have the power to dismiss the state government. And in terms of coalition government, power sharing is more effective today. So in case of coalition government, whatever examples I have given, It is just stated that power sharing in coalition government is more effective because everybody has equal share of power in that. What brought about the real success of federalism in India? If we talk about the success of federalism, what are the points that actually have brought the success of federalism in India? That is, number one, nature of democratic politics. That means our country India is following democracy in a real way. Then number two is respect for democratic politics, and they are following also, and at the same time they are giving respect also to all the things related to democratic politics. After that, desire for living together. As we know that India is a country with unity in diversity. That means many linguistic groups are there, irrespective of caste, creed. So after that also, every people, irrespective of their caste, be it Hindu, be it Muslim, be it Sikhs, or be it the Christians, all the people have the desire to live together, and that too in a harmonious way. Remember this. So these 3 points are basically giving the way for the real success or for the successful running of federalism in India. After that, what undermines the spirit of federalism? That means first we have read about what are the things that have brought the real success, and now we will read what are the things that have actually worked against the federalism in India. Number one is center misusing the constitution to dismiss the state government that was controlled by rival parties. But this number one point is related to the fact that central government sometimes does what if it has some conflicts or disputes with any of the state government, then they does what? They try to actually dismiss that state government. But in reality, we have read that the central government cannot undermine or they cannot dismiss them. But practically they are doing what? They are misusing the constitution and they are dismissing it, which is totally injustice done to the state government. So this is number one point which is working against the spirit of federalism. After that, coalition governments led to a new culture of power sharing and respect for the autonomy of state governments. And we have also read that coalition government actually has helped the power sharing process to be successful in the real sense. But sometimes this coalition governments also does what? Because of its autonomy, it does what? It is leading to a new culture and it is giving way for autonomy of state government, or you can say that it's like the dictatorship run by the state governments. Sometimes this coalition governments does that, which is totally against the spirit of federalism. So these 2 points are there which is actually working against the spirit of federalism. Now comes decentralization. So when power is taken away from the central and state governments and given to local governments, as I have made you understand this point earlier also, this is the transfer of power. That means some part of the power both from the central and state government would be given to the lower level of government or the local governments. So why this decentralization process is actually done? This is done due to three necessary reasons. Number one is the vastness of state in size and population. That means in a country like India, it is big in size also and population also. For that reason also this decentralization process is done, where some portions of powers are given to local governments. The number two is internally diverse. That means whatever the powers are given or transferred, because of the fact that these local governments or the areas related to local governments are very diverse. And number three is need for power sharing. And in this form of government where the country follows federalism process, there is a much necessity for the power sharing. So what was the basic idea behind the decentralization? So basic idea behind decentralization was, number one, solving large number of problems and issues at local level. This point we have already read that The local level government or the local government came into being for solving large number of problems and issues at local level. Many problems were there at the local level. So in order to solve this, because the central government and state government cannot come frequently to solve all these problems, for that reasons also this local level government was formed. After that, people have better knowledge of problems in localities. So whoever the people are connected in that localities have better knowledge of the problems, so they can solve that problems easily. The number 3, better ideas on where to spend money and how to manage things efficiently. Clear? So the people have what? The better ideas on where to spend money, because they are from that particular locality only. So they know the things better, and they also know where to spend money efficiently. Then number 4 is people's participation in decision making. People also participate in the decision making process. And number 5 is to realize one important principle of democracy, local government. And last but not the least, it is also of the fact that because of this decentralization process, people were actually able to know the importance of local government. Clear? After that, it is the 1992 Amendment Act, according to which the decentralization process had become very effective. And according to 1992 Amendment Act, what were the things that were done actually? That is, steps taken by this constitution are: number 1, it is mandatory to hold regular elections to local governments. That means before 1992, regular elections were not held. So after 1992 Amendment Act was brought into force, number 1 thing that was done was, or the step that was taken was, it was mandatory, it was very much necessary to hold regular elections to local governments. The number 2, reservation of seats for SC, ST and OBCs. There is some printing mistake regarding, it will not be BCS, it will be OBCs. O is missing. Number 3 is 1/3 of the seat reserved for women. That means every 1/3 of the seat will be reserved for women in the local level of government. The number 4, State Election Commission conducts elections, and who will be given responsible for conducting these elections? The state governments or the State Election Commission related to the states of that particular region. Suppose, assume that in Assam, the Assam State Election Commission will hold elections in the local level of government. The number 5, state government shares some power and revenue with local bodies. And after this act, it was made mandatory also to share some power also. That means state government will share some power, and along with that sharing of power, they will also share revenue with local bodies. Whatever the taxes, whatever the sources of income comes, they will divide it between the state government and the local level government. After that, we have gone through this also, that in a local self-government, if we talk about district, block level and village level, what are the forms of government and who are the heads? We should go through this properly. If we talk about the village level, there is a Gram Panchayat. If you live in a village, that area is known as Gram Panchayat. It is formed by Gram Sabha and it is headed by the Sarpanch. That means the president is the head of the Gram Panchayat, which is formed by Gram Sabha. If we come to the block level, that means this block level is known as Panchayat Samiti. Clear? They are elected by Panchayat members. Whatever the Panchayat members are there, they are elected by the Panchayat members. And who is the head? The BDO. Block Development Officer is the head. Clear? After that, if you come to the district level, the district level is known as the Zilla Parishad. Clear? Zilla in Hindi and district in English. That means Zilla Parishad in the district level. It is formed by elected members and have members of Lok Sabha and MLA of the district. So under this Zilla Parishad, who are there? It is formed by the elected members also and have members of Lok Sabha and MLA of the district also. That means in a district, suppose 3 or 4 MLAs will be there. So they will also come under this, and the members of the Lok Sabha will also be there. And the district head is known as Zilla chairperson. Clear? Please make a note down of this. Likewise, that it is given as it is given in this picture, try to copy that in the same way, making a flow chart regarding this village level, block level and district level. After that, if we talk about local government urban, the previous one was local government rural. So if we talk about local government urban, there are divisions between two. One is in towns and one is in big cities. Towns, we would say, take example of Jorhat. In towns like Jorhat, they have municipalities, and who is the head? Municipal chairperson is the head. That means in municipalities the head is the municipal chairperson. And in big cities like Guwahati, there will be municipal corporations, and who will be the head? Mayor will be the head. Try to remember this and try to make this in a flowchart too. So with this, we have come to the end of this revision part of chapter number 2, federalism. And in the next class, we will discuss and go through some of the important questions and answers that I will discuss with you through the slides. As these questions and answers are very important related to this chapter, so we will discuss those important questions and answers. So before winding, let's take a quick revision of what we had revised. Actually, we had revised about definition, then 2 levels of government, unitary form of government, features, objectives, then 2 crucial aspects of an ideal federalism. Then we have read about coming together, holding together federation, then what has made India a federal country, then followed by union list, state list and concurrent list, then residuary powers, then how does India practice power sharing, then linguistic states, language policy, center-state relations. Then about we have learned is what brought the real success of federalism, and we also read about what undermines, that means what work against the spirit of federalism. Then we have read about centralization and why is decentralization necessary in a country like India. After that, what was the basic idea behind decentralization? We also have read about this. Then we read about 1992 Amendment Act, what were the changes made. Then we have read about the local self-government rural, how is it divided into village level, block level and district level. After that, we came to know about local government urban, which was again divided into towns and big cities. So I hope that whatever the points I have discussed with you regarding this chapter federalism is now very much clear to you. So with that, I will wind up today's topic. Thank you.